Howdy, this is Doug over at Red Chip Poker, and I wanted to answer a question that came up in the forums. We had a question from Nick, and he was saying that he was playing $400 deep in a 1-2 game, 7-handed, and he's in mid-position with Queen-Jack offsuit. He opens for 12. Well, I'm just not opening this hand in mid-position, period. It's not suited, it's not paired, and it's not particularly high for high cards. So I'm just going to take a pass because I'm going to get into a lot of ugly spots that I don't want to be in, and that's exactly what we see happening here. So let's preface this with I would have folded pre-flop. Okay, he makes a decent open though, and he ends up getting called by the button, the small blind, and the big blind. So now we are 4-way to the flop. It's $50, so an SPR of about 8. And the flop comes out Jack 10-6 with 2 clubs. And what are we going to do here? Well, I look at this and I'm either going to be playing my hand as a bluff catcher or kind of balls to the wall. And you've got to make a decision which way you're going to play this. With 4 to the flop, someone's probably going to call you when you make a bet here. So making this small bet of 35 into 48, this is a wet board, you need to bet higher because you're going to be playing this very fast or not at all. I would have just checked myself. So with 35, that's giving them decent odds to call with whatever kinds of crazy draws they've gotten. There's going to be a lot of them on this board. So you bet the 35 and you get 1 call. It's from the small blind, so at least you've got position. And then the queen comes on the turn. This is good in some sense because it improves your hand, but bad because it brings in a fair amount of draws, like the 8-9, like you mentioned, which could have been open-ended from the flop, and you didn't mention it, but Ace-King got there also. So what do you do here? Well, the villain leads into you for $65, and this is why these kinds of hands get ugly here. What are you going to do? Well, I want to point out a flaw in your thinking here. You said that you didn't want to raise because a raise to 150 would feel very uncomfortable with only 150 behind because you wouldn't want to call that off. Well, if you're going to raise here, then you need to raise pretty much all in. Let's look at this. So there was 48 pre-flop, you bet 35 and were called, so that's 120 going into the turn. If you call his 65 bet, that means there's 240 in, and you only had 30 behind here. So shipping it would basically be about a pot-sized raise. And so there's no need to make this $150 bet. It's kind of a wussy bet. If you're going to raise there, raise basically all in. And you're just in an ugly spot here. So I think if you're going to play this fast like this, and you believe that he might be on a flush draw, then you need to ship it on the turn here. Alright, if you like this kind of thing, stop by the Red Chip Poker forums and be sure to subscribe here on YouTube.